Hello, my friend. Before we start this amazing episode, I want to invite you to the personal Patreon page of this podcast. If you love what's being done here and want to keep the podcast and the meditations free to the public, then you can come on over to our brand new community on Patreon and donate $11.11 a month, and all proceeds will go towards keeping this free, keeping this going. Plus, we'll be building a community together, and I'll give you bonus material. You can explore this option in the description of this podcast, or just go to patreon.com/Dr. Reese.
Welcome to Inner Peace with Dr. Reese, a program that can help you become liberated in the modern world. Now, here's your host, Dr. Kevin W. Reese.
So is nutritional deficiency a real thing? Welcome to episode number 102. Today, I'm talking with Desiree Lotz. She's a 40-plus year nutritionist. In this conversation, we're going to talk about calcium, magnesium, selenium, sea salt, fish oil, eggs, brewer's yeast, and everything under the sun that you can imagine the body actually needs, or it will go out of whack. So sit down, relax, and take in this beautiful and valuable recording. Let's begin. Desiree, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
So, a lot of people are not familiar with nutritional deficiency. It's like a secret boogeyman. It's just lying underneath. What can you say about nutritional deficiency, and how important is it to correct?
I've been helping people with their bodies for more than 40 years. And my basic fundamental viewpoint is that you go back to basics. You eat natural food, you don't eat junk food, you don't sugar and carbs and all that. I raised my kids that way, and I never ever had unhealthy kids or upset kids. I've helped so many people to handle that too, but it's fundamental. I've kind of been an Adele Davis fan for a long time. I don't know if you know who she is.
I think so.
She's a nutritionist from way back when. I'm not a youngster anymore, so I've used her works forever. And what I find in life is a lot of people's emotional upsets, their physical upsets, and all that stuff starts back with the body basics. If you have your basic fundamental nutrition in, you are able to control that or not feel that bad, like headaches or moods or whatever. And that's kind of my life. That's what I do.
We can't get the nutrition all the way from the food anymore.
No.
We have to supplement.
Right. Okay, so basically from my research, the soil has minerals in it when it's good soil. And those minerals, the plants absorb those minerals, and the plants grow and are happy and are pretty and tasty. Then the cow comes along and eats the plant, gets all those minerals and nutrition in it, and then we eat the cow and the plant, and we're getting basic nutrition. Unfortunately, it's even worse here in America than where I come from. The soil is so depleted that the food has got no value, hasn't got adequate food value. Organically grown and all that helps if you can find good land, but basically the food is nutrient deficient. When it comes to nutrition, I've got some very basic things that I do. I've got a nutrition program on my website, and it comes from Adele Davis, and basically brewer's yeast, lecithin, a good quality superfood, and vitamin E in the wheat germ oil form, not the isolated, because when they make them, they extract one part of that E, for example, and they make what they call vitamin E, but it's not actually. So I use wheat germ oil as my basic, let's say on vitamin E, and then cod liver oil on the fish oil and the essential fatty acids and all those things. Those are my basics. And then the CalMag that I make, that's my business, is based on also the proper nutritional form of calcium gluconate, not the, lactate's also okay, but the carbonate in that is rock. It's not nutritional. So that's kind of what the program that I recommend to people I work with. You mix it up and you make like a smoothie out of it. And
Right.
And what's very important in all of this is the lecithin. I'm also a detox specialist. I haven't been practicing it for quite a while, but putting people through a purification program with vitamins to help them get off drugs or clean out their bodies from all the toxins, which we all are getting. And then based on that, what happens is when the toxic particles, let's say you're a drug addict and you're having cocaine, or you're an alcoholic and you're drinking, or you're just getting exposed to all the junk in the environment, when your body can offload a certain part of it, but it can't offload all. So the body is very clever, and it coats those particles in fat and deposits it in the fatty tissue. So now it's living in the fatty tissue, and let's say you tired one day, or you're walking down the road, you haven't eaten, your blood sugar's all out the bottom, and the body pulls on that fat for energy. Now, unfortunately, that piece of fat just happens to have, let's say, an alcohol particle in it, and that alcohol particle is associated with a drunken fight in a pub many years ago. Your wife was flirting with a guy or whatever, and that moment is stirred up again because of that particular particle being released into your bloodstream. So it's very, so anyway, so that's kind of my fundamental viewpoint on it.
How important would you say calcium is to the body?
It's vital. Calcium and actually all the minerals. In fact, on my website, I've got a little graphic of minerals, not only just calcium, magnesium, but the body's electrical current. The body's electrical current is dependent on minerals to send messages backwards and forwards from the brain to the finger or to the thyroid or to the liver, wherever. The system in the body is based on minerals, and calcium is the most abundant mineral in the body, and magnesium is its mate. So it's 2 to 1, basically.
Yeah,
exactly. So so it's vital that you get. So I also educate people on. I've got like data on dehydration, and I educate people on salt.
We need salt, right? But people think,
because I've helped a lot of people with extremely high blood pressure. They come to see me. I'm not a registered doctor or anything, but I do muscle testing. And I've had their doctors tell them, no, you can't have salt because your blood pressure, blah, blah. And and they were very smart, these people, and they listened to me. I agree with the doctors that other stuff is poison. So what I do is I give them seawater, real sea salt. And I use Celtic now because I haven't been able to get the seawater ampoules for quite a while. But within 24 hours, her blood pressure totally subsided. And so I educate people on the salt point. So the word salt comes from the word celery. That's the derivation of the word. And way back when the sailing ships used to sail around the world and trade and do all that stuff, they got paid with salt. Salt is vital.
And doesn't sodium balance out potassium?
So yes, actually, if you look at real salt, it actually has potassium in it.
Okay.
It's got all the minerals in it. It's got about 80 minerals in it. And yes, but sodium, I need to understand what you mean, because sodium chloride is this white, can I use the word crap, that they make, and they bleach it, and that's poison. and that's what they sell in the supermarkets. I encourage people to go to the go to the bulk section, go and look for Celtic sea salt. That's it. You can do Himalayan too, but the Celtic actually has got iodine in it too, which is vital for the thyroid.
So Celtic sea salt number one, maybe Himalayan sea salt.
Yeah, Celtic sea salt, yeah. So what I do is, I mean, if you've been doing it for a while, I encourage people, I tell them, put salt in your drinking water. If it's flat tasting, there's no taste, you need a bit more. If it's salty, obviously it's too much. Then you just kind of put more water or more salt, depending on which way it is. And then that's the right amount for your body. And if you had to drink my salt water, it's probably not going to be the right, it won't taste good to you because you might need more salt or less salt or whatever. So the human body is very smart.
We need it for digestion too, right?
Absolutely. Every body function. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the nervous system.
So these people, the people that come off of salt, they could be screwing up their digestion.
Absolutely. And the nervous system and so many things, because your digestive system, this whole electrical current thing that I mentioned earlier, your body, it handles everything: digestion, thyroid, adrenals. If you go and put your finger on the hot stove by accident and you burn it, if your electrical current's working well, you'll pull back quickly. If it's not working well, it's going to take longer for the message to get through. Oops, hot, So it's very, very important, the digester for sure.
Why is there a decline in calcium reputation?
Because there's so much false data. First of all, so many people, including doctors, put people on calcium tablets or capsules. Now, calcium is a rock. So if you're having that in that form, it's going to deposit behind the eyes, and then you're going to get, you can't see anymore, or in your kidneys or wherever. It doesn't have a way of functioning. So the vital thing about calcium, there's a form of calcium gluconate and magnesium carbonate in a 2-to-1 ratio. When I used to do the detox program, I used to make it with apple cider vinegar, but a lot of people, it's way over their heads and stuff, so I use vitamin C. So basically calcium and magnesium are alkaline. So if you have all this alkaline stuff, it's going to deposit all over in the body. So you have to put the pH in the mid-range. So the vitamin C adjusts the pH to that mid-range. So now when you drink let's say the CalMag, I can send you samples and you can see it for yourself. So when you drink the CalMag, for example, and it's in the right form and it's mixed, it's a liquid, you drink it.
Yeah.
Your body absorbs it like that. So an upset, even colic and all that, because I've handled people, babies, colic and all of these things is, they just need this stuff. And the way I describe it to people, I say, think of a worm, because, the body inside is hard to see. You can't see what's going on. So you want to get a picture of it. So I describe it to people as like, let's say a worm goes like this and like this to move. So this part of it is the calcium. This part of it is the magnesium. So you've got to have this, and in order for the muscles and the nerves and the energy to move, you need this action. And if you think of a heartbeat, it's the same thing. The contraction, the blood comes in, the relaxation, the blood goes out. So calcium is the contraction part and the magnesium is the relaxation part. And that happens in the gut and everywhere. So it goes like this, and then it relaxes. So if you're doing this, so if you don't have this action, you can't poop, or you're constipated, or it's too much, or whatever. It doesn't work. So it's kind of like I like to use things for people to look at. Like that's why I use the electrical current when it comes into the house and everything's working well. Your computer works, your lights work, everything's good. The minute there's interference, you get flickering, let's say. In the worst case scenario, you have a blackout, and then that's body death. I kind of do that, but I don't talk about that too much, but that's actually body death. So in between, you've got all these other things are not working properly, this intermittent, like you described, it's not working. And the minute you have enough of these minerals, then they can do their job.
Yeah, you know what happened to me is out of clear blue, I started getting like electrical shocks throughout my whole body,
Right.
not just hands and feet.
Yeah.
And it happened like 4 or 5 times over the course of a month. It freaked me out. And, nutritional deficiency.
Always,
right?
Yeah, you can go back to that. Yeah.
And my B12 was like 290 at the time. And now it's like 770.
Okay.
Big difference. Okay, so what do you say to a vegan? I was vegan for 10 years. What do you say to a vegan about nutritional deficiency, especially omegas and fish oil?
Okay, well then if you don't, fish oil is also a problem for a vegan then, obviously. Well, there's other oils that do have all of those things in too. There's I've gone blank now on the name of the oil. There's different vegetable oils.
Flaxseed?
That do have, yes, flaxseed. Flaxseed, yeah, they have, it has also got that kind of value.
But fish oil seems to be like the top of the line.
Yeah, I've kind of always been a fish oil person. I've been that for so long. It's kind of my basic stable datum. But I've bumped into people like what you just said, vegetarian or vegan or whatever.
Fish oil has a lot of research behind it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of studies.
A lot. Yeah, I'm kind of not completely up to date on it all, but I mean, I've been doing this for so long that it became such a habit for me that I didn't look into it anymore.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. When you know something, you've known it for 40 odd years.
I mean, who would ever think that fish oil would be anti-inflammatory? Like,
yeah. And it's got so much value. And the other interesting point here that I'll just bring up, do you know who Dr. Royal Lee is?
No.
He's the standard process originator. He was a dentist, and he's no longer around. But he founded the company Standard Process, and they make their supplements are all food-based. And I've got a lot of his research materials and reference books and stuff like that too. And it was interesting because I have an article on my site as well called Sunburn and Cold Sores and stuff like that. And basically, from the research I did on his materials, sunburn is also known as hypervitaminosis D. You've got too much vitamin D. So when I did all the looking into it and research, so what happens is when you sit out in the sun, you're absorbing, and we know that you need D to absorb calcium. Okay, so you're sitting in the sun, you get a lot of D, and you're absorbing the calcium. So the calcium comes in, but here's the deal. The D is only floating around in the bloodstream. It's not going into the tissues or the bones. So, and that's why you got all this sunburn and apparently, he also says if you get a cold sore, take it as a sign of low tissue calcium. And the solution to that is essential fatty acids, which you're going to get in your fish oils and even in the flaxseed and stuff. So the essential fatty acids is what brings it into the tissue, into the bones for that part of it, and to all the tissues, because calcium. The body has thousands of functions that need calcium and magnesium as well.
Well, that's interesting about calcium, because a lot of doctors, the medical establishment says don't take too much calcium, but most nutritionists give lots of calcium, like mega doses.
Yeah, and the point here is that the calcium tablets are the ones that are causing a problem. And if you, and I have, you've got a gland, the parathyroid, which is next to the thyroid. And it's not part of the thyroid, it's just that it's alongside the thyroid, and there's four of these little glands here. And their job is to balance the calcium in the body and in the bloodstream. So basically what happens is, my theory is, I haven't looked into it, is that when doctors test people and say, oh, you got too much calcium or whatever, I believe that's the problem. The calcium is floating around because maybe as a vitamin D, or it's getting into the bloodstream, whatever way, through these tablets, and it's not going into the tissue. So it's sitting there, and then it's depositing in different parts of the body, arteries, then you get atherosclerosis, and behind the eyes, and then you get that eye thing, and you can cause kidneys all over, you can cause heart attacks and all kinds of stuff because you're causing blockages. So my theory is, I don't trust doctors, I must be honest. I look and I trust the doctors like Dr. Royally and those kind of doctors. So what I believe is happening is that calcium is floating around in the bloodstream. So they're saying, don't take more calcium, don't whatever. But the point you have to do is you've got to get that calcium into the tissue, into the bones. But that form of calcium that most people are taking is tablets or capsules. And it doesn't have the balance with the magnesium, which it needs to absorb, and vice versa. And it doesn't have that acid base. Yep.
You need it in a liquid form.
Yes. You make it in boiling water, you dissolve the mixture, and then you can put it. I discourage people from putting any kind of sugar thing in it, but some people, okay, the kids, whatever, unsweetened fruit juice maybe, or a herbal tea bag, or I just take mine straight, and a lot of people do, and then either have it cold with ice or drink it hot, whichever way you like. And then it goes into the body and it doesn't get stuck anywhere. And then if you're taking the fish oil, you are taking the particles of calcium, if there are any, from this form of CalMag. It's not going to sit and do that destructive stuff that the others are doing. It's actually going to be absorbed. And I mean, I've handled babies with colic. I've handled, you name it, all kinds of stuff with the CalMag because of these factors. Goes straight into the body. It does its job, calms the person down, whatever. So I believe that that's why a lot of them, and doctors are clueless. I mean, my cousin's a doctor. They study nutrition maybe 2 weeks in all those years of training. So they don't know anything about nutrition. They get taught by Big Pharma. You need blah, blah. And if you've got high blood pressure, you need this drug or whatever. And they don't go back to basics. So I've always been my family doctor, and a lot of people call me Dr. Desi. I'm not a doctor at all, but I am a basic fundamental person that follows the basic stuff of what the body needs. I probably was a good old Indian back in the old days,
Yeah.
Indian medicine. Yeah.
How much fish oil should someone be taking a day, you feel?
Well, it depends on how deficient they are. For example, I take a tablespoon. But if you very in a bad condition, I would start somebody on a bit higher dosage of most things. But hang on, let me just backpedal on that one. I usually don't start them on the high dosages. I usually creep it in. But on the fish oil, I might say take higher, because let's say the person's been very deficient in all these B vitamins and whatever, and he starts on the formula that I've got on my site, the nutritional formula, and he suddenly now, because then the body's like, oh, there's too much gas and all that, because basically, when you've got bacteria or when you've got all this stuff going on, the weeds, I call it weeds, growing in the gut, and you've got, this discomfort and bad stuff. What I tell people is that's weeds. Now, in order to kill those weeds, the brewer's yeast and stuff does that. It kills the weeds and it grows good, happy plants. But going through that process can be very uncomfortable, because while it's killing off the weeds, the gas, maybe some pain, bloating, whatever the thing is that is going to happen. So usually with people like that, I'll start on a gradient, but I tell them if you get any discomfort, don't stop. Just take some enzymes with it, or just don't stop what you're doing, because it's work, like, you're repairing the body. So you're going to have to go through the discomfort of it to get it repaired.
And how long does the discomfort last? Just a few weeks?
You know what? It's so different with everybody. Everybody's body's different. And I found that in all the years I've been helping people with their bodies, I might recover in a day. Somebody else might take several weeks. But if they just follow the protocol and say, take the enzymes or probiotics or whatever, take that every day, you need it anyway. So there's no harm in having it. And then you just keep doing that until the discomfort. And when the discomfort stops, you can stop it, but I wouldn't stop it,
Now, enzymes, some people would say, what about our natural enzymes?
Yeah, but the problem is the natural enzymes, if your body is deficient and you've been eating shit for so long that you've now messed your body up, guess what else is messed up? The enzymes are not working either. And a lot of the body does have natural enzymes, but a lot of the enzymes are formed when you put the right thing in your mouth. A lot of the enzymes are formed in the mouth at that point. So if you're eating a lot of junk, you're killing. But if you start to eat the right stuff, the enzymes are actually starting to get stirred up and stimulated here in the mouth. A lot of them do start there.
How important is eating fatty fish themselves, not just a capsule or not just a supplement?
It's always much better to eat the real thing. From our perspective, it's to eat the real thing, to get the real food. But of course, if you've got vegans and vegetarians, they won't be able to do that. So, and a lot of people, there's a lot of talk about low-fat diets. I am so against that. Your body needs the fat. So the low-fat diets to me it's just another fad thing, and you need fat. And if you're overweight, you need fat more than if you need it.
I just lost.
So your body can.
Yeah, I just lost 30 pounds. I had an avocado every day.
Yeah. And that's a good fat. Yeah, that's a very good fat. Yeah.
Flaxseed crackers, almond butter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes you full.
It makes sense to me. Yes, and then it also is handling that fat issue. Because, your body needs that fat because for the toxins and stuff deposited in the fatty tissue, it needs, and good fat is good. So that's good. 30 pounds. Wow.
And supplements,
And what supplements? I can get what?
I do longevity.
Say those Oh, okay.
A powder of tons of nutrition.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. I become a naughty girl, so I don't always do my nutritional formula, but I have a natural, the Dr. Royal Leaf things, capsules and stuff, but the basic nutritional formula is the best because you're getting all those things. So if you get the food in its natural way, like the brewer's yeast is a natural source of food, you're getting all the cofactors that you don't get if you're going to buy an isolated B vitamin thing. It doesn't have any of that in. When you have the whole thing, you're getting every little piece of it. So there's things that we don't even know about that's in there. I think the brewer's yeast to me is like such a fundamental, because there's another factor here. People that are bipolar and all that type of thing, that very often is a niacin deficiency. And then they put people on these terrible drugs and stuff. And anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Where do you stand on meat? Because, there's a lot of nutrients in meat.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing a lot of vegans switching back over to meat.
Okay. My basic viewpoint is that all of these things are nutritional that the body needs. Okay. But I'm talking now when things were decent. The soil was decent, the animal. I eat meat, and I always have. In fact, I'll tell you something very interesting. I'm an egg for breakfast person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's got a lot of lecithin, so that's also good. But meat, I'm not anti, but if somebody is against it, I don't get into that subject with them, because that's their choice and their viewpoint. So I would help them as much as I can without meat. But I have been a meat person my whole life, and my kids all eat meat and stuff like that.
Yeah, as long as you don't overcook it, right?
Yeah, I like it medium rare personally.
Yeah.
I mean, chicken, of course, I prefer to have it cooked fully, but like salmon and stuff, I like it a little bit raw. That type of thing, yeah.
Yeah, some people eat liver, right? Liver.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to love liver, but it had to be, I didn't like it raw. When I used to go, and none of my sisters liked it, but when I used to arrive at my grandmother's, she'd say, "There's liver cakes in the oven for you." And I used to love it. I think it's very healthy. It's got a lot of
nutrients, right? Some people say it's the most nutritious thing you can eat.
I wouldn't be surprised, yeah. Yep.
How important is eggs?
I feel it's very important. I've been doing eggs my whole life in the morning. First of all, it gives you protein, but since I've all my research and stuff over many, many years later, especially when doctors talk about don't eat eggs, you've got high cholesterol. That's the worst thing that you can tell the person who's high cholesterol. They need the eggs because they need the lecithin to break down the cholesterol. And of course, eggs are high in lecithin. And that's why another part of the medical thing that just makes me so pissed off. But now I see there's a bit of a change of tune. I've noticed something. I don't know if it was NIH or somewhere saw something online where there seems to be a slight shift of viewpoint on that in the medical industry, but that lecithin is vital.
Do you cook your eggs? Does it matter how someone cooks their eggs to get the most nutrition?
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked in that one particularly, but I have a little dash machine, those little dash machines. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a little machine, and you can just plug it in, and you put a little bit of water in it, and you can make a omelet, or you can make boiled eggs, or you can make whatever. I use that, and I like my eggs. If I'm frying them, I like them medium. Personally, if I'm boiling them, I like them a little slightly soft. If I'm making an omelet, obviously I cook the omelet. Everybody's so different. I used to put them raw into the mix that I just told you about, but I don't do that. I just have my eggs the way I have them.
So we need that cholesterol.
Our brains are very dependent on cholesterol, exactly. And if you're low on, you're going to have problems with the brain, yeah. But you've got to have it so that it's not floating around in the bloodstream, so it gives you a heart attack or some crazy thing, yeah. Totally, I agree with that point.
So the thing with nutrition is it's like everything balances each other out. You got calcium and magnesium, you got sodium and this.
Potassium, the whole nine yards.
Even fish, they say, all right, there's mercury in fish, but my understanding is that selenium counteracts the mercury.
Yeah. There's a lot of counteracting factors, and selenium and something else as well. It'll safeguard that brain.
So should we be taking selenium every day if we're fish eaters?
Probably should be. But I think if you're doing the salt water thing, and even the brewer's yeast, I can't remember now, but I have to look on my site because I've got the ingredients on there. It may have selenium in too. So obviously you're going to get some natural stuff that's got it. So, but yeah, it's important, very important.
So what's the significance of magnesium? This is one that messes up our muscles, right?
I guess it depends on how you do it and if you do it in the appropriate, because if you have too much magnesium, you're going to create a calcium deficiency if you don't have them in balance, and vice versa. But magnesium is vital for, as far as I know, at least 600 body actions. And one of the main ones is diabetics. And it's just like it's so vital for a lot of these things, but also the nerves. And I don't know if you know this one. I actually have an article on my website for this as well. Noise burns up magnesium. So my article on my site talks about noise, and that's my reality is that's where drug addiction very often starts. I don't know if you've done this because I don't know how old you are, but we used to go to blah, blah, all that stuff. And there's loud music and noise and all this stuff going on. And what it's doing is burning up the magnesium. Now, what it does is makes you crave cocaine because that reduces the stressful feeling. But obviously, you don't want to go there. But magnesium does the same thing. It naturally coats the nerves and then handles the noise thing. So anybody who wakes up, I have people like if they wake up in the night or somebody's talking and they wake up or the baby wakes up too easily, I always make sure they're getting CalMag because that and it chills them out because that magnesium is what coats the nerve endings and helps the nerves to not be like so frazzled. I wanted to do a project one time to go and promote to the druggies at these raves and whatever they do, to tell them, you can give up that if you want to. And my friend said, are you kidding me? That's the wrong place to start with that. Because I've also been, my daughter ran a drug rehab facility in South Africa, and I was the detox person who ran the detox part of it. But it's funny, but it's true. It helps to handle the nerves. So if I did give it to a druggie, I wouldn't tell them it'll handle the cravings. I just give it to them.
Yeah, I recently had some strained muscles, and my naturopath said, take Epsom salt baths, magnesium, and then a physical therapist recommended I get a magnesium spray as well.
Yeah, and you can rub it. You can get the oils too and put it on your skin and all. Yeah. It's important. Yeah, no, there's a lot of information out there. I've got a lot on my site, way more than about it's not just about CalMag. It's about all these other different, but also ties the thing together,
So what is...
Because I'm not just about... The CalMag became a passion because I helped so many people get off drugs and detox and all that. And so it became a passion. But I'm an overall person. I want to help people. My basic purpose is to help people so that their bodies are in good condition, so their tension goes off their bodies and outwards, so they can participate in life and have fun, enjoy, and do, if it's spiritual or just have fun, whatever it is, It's very important.
Yeah. And what is your website for those listening?
It's CalMag-C.com. So CalMag, I guess people know how to spell that if they're into nutrition, -C.com. CalMag-C.com. Yeah.
I would imagine it can help people sleep as well, right?
Absolutely. It's one of the main things. I've got hundreds of success stories, and the top of that list is sleep, pain, and those kinds of things. It's just, and stress is another factor.
If someone was having trouble sleeping, would you recommend them taking that product more towards the end of the day?
Sure. At the end of the day, I take in the morning and at night personally, and a lot of people do. But if it's just to handle that a few hours before you go to sleep, yeah. And I've got a very cool success story as well from a AAA Hall of Fame footballer. His nickname is Pork Chop. He's not playing the game anymore, but a couple of years ago, he had a grade 3 concussion and was in a lot of pain, very upset emotionally because he couldn't play, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And his coach gave him a bottle of CalMag and told him to take it. But he was skeptical because he also does his own research and stuff. And he tried it out. And the success story I got from him was amazing. it helped with so many other things. Restless legs he had, the sleep issue, which he didn't even realize actually, and then it handled that. And then, of course, the pain and all those things too, yeah. So if anybody wants to look at that, they can just go on my site and go and search for pork chop.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Desiree, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed it too. So nice to meet you.